I always thought family meant everything. As a software engineer with a promising career, I believed I had it all figured out. My 8-year marriage to Sophia seemed picture perfect to everyone looking in from the outside. Then, one day, I came home early from a business trip to find my younger brother Marcus in bed with my wife. What followed was not just betrayal, but a family saga that tested my very identity. Before I share this painful journey, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever had to choose between family expectations and your own self-respect. Growing up in a middle-class neighborhood in Portland, Oregon, family always came first. My parents drilled that into Marcus and me from day one. I was the older brother by 3 years, the responsible one who always looked out for my younger sibling. Though our relationship was close, there was always an undercurrent of competition. Marcus seemed to covet what I had, whether it was toys, friends, or later career success. Despite this, I genuinely loved my brother. We shared childhood adventures, exploring Forest Park, building forts in our backyard, and staying up late playing video games when our parents thought we were asleep. I remember defending him against bullies in elementary school, helping him with homework through high school, and teaching him to drive in our father's old Chevy. I met Sophia during my graduate studies at Oregon State University. She was studying art history, and we connected at a campus coffee shop when I spilled my latte all over her sketchbook. Instead of getting angry, she laughed and used the stains to create an abstract design. I was captivated by her creativity and spontaneity, qualities that balanced my more structured approach to life. Our romance blossomed quickly. Within 6 months, we were inseparable. Sophia was everything I had ever wanted: intelligent, passionate, and supportive of my ambitions. When I proposed a year later at Multnomah Falls, the joy in her eyes convinced me I had found my forever partner. Marcus was my best man at our wedding. His speech brought tears to my eyes as he talked about looking up to his big brother and how happy he was that I had found someone who completed me. "Calvin has always been my hero," he told our guests, raising his glass. "Sophia, you are getting the best man I know." The early years of our marriage were everything I had hoped for. We purchased a craftsman-style home in the Selwood neighborhood of Portland. My career at Technova, a growing software company, took off as I moved from developer to project manager within 3 years. Sophia established herself as a respected art consultant for local galleries. We talked about starting a family in our 5th year of marriage, though we decided to wait until we were more financially secure. Throughout this time, I continued to support Marcus. He struggled to find direction after college, jumping between jobs in sales, marketing, and retail. I paid for his final year of university when our parents could not afford it. Later, I co-signed the lease on his first apartment and loaned him $5,000 to get established. I never asked for it back. Looking back now, I can identify warning signs in my marriage that I completely missed. Sophia began to grow distant in our 6th year together. She started attending more evening gallery events without inviting me along. There were unexplained absences and vague explanations. I attributed this to her growing career and gave her space, trusting her completely. During family gatherings, Marcus and Sophia developed what I thought was a typical in-law relationship. They shared interests in art and music that I did not, and I was happy they got along so well. Sometimes I would enter a room to find them in deep conversation that would abruptly halt. Once I noticed Marcus put his hand on her shoulder for slightly too long. Another time, they exchanged glances across the dinner table that seemed charged with something I could not identify. But I dismissed these moments, never imagining the betrayal that was unfolding. My parents, James and Eleanor, always positioned themselves as the family moral compass. Dad was a high school principal, Mom a church administrator. They mediated every family dispute with an emphasis on forgiveness and harmony, sometimes at the expense of addressing underlying issues. "Family sticks together, no matter what," was my father's mantra. I would learn later how conditional that philosophy truly was. As my 30th birthday approached, I received a substantial promotion to senior project manager at Technova. My career was thriving with a comfortable 6-figure salary and growing influence in the company. Meanwhile, Marcus continued to struggle working at a marketing firm where he felt undervalued and underpaid. The contrast between our professional lives became a source of tension that neither of us openly acknowledged. The day my life imploded started ordinarily enough. I was in Seattle for a 3-day conference presenting our latest software solutions to potential clients. The final day's meetings were unexpectedly canceled, giving me the chance to catch an early flight home to surprise Sophia. I texted my colleague Jackson, instead of my wife, wanting to make my early arrival a pleasant surprise. Pulling into our driveway around 2 in the afternoon, I noticed an unfamiliar car parked in my spot. No, not unfamiliar. It was Marcus's recently purchased used Audi that he had shown off at our last family dinner. My first thought was innocent enough. Perhaps he was helping Sophia with something around the house while I was away. The front door was unlocked. I stepped inside, calling out, "Hello, Sophia." No answer, but I heard music playing softly upstairs. I remember the surreal feeling as I climbed our staircase, the family photos on the wall tracking happier times. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if some part of me already knew what I would find. The bedroom door was partially open. I pushed it wider and froze. There was my brother, my only sibling, in bed with my wife. The betrayal was so visceral that for several seconds I could not breathe. Time seemed suspended as my brain struggled to process the scene before me. Calvin Sophia scrambled to cover herself, her face draining of color. "You were supposed to be in Seattle." Marcus jumped up, grabbing for his clothes. "Bro, I can explain." His voice cracked with panic rather than remorse. "How long?" The question came out, eerily calm, belying the storm raging inside me. They exchanged glances, and in that moment I knew this was no one-time mistake. "Calvin, please." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "It just happened. We never meant to. How long?" I enunciated each word, my fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. 14 months, Marcus finally admitted, staring at the floor. But it was not planned. We just connected, and I did not let him finish. The rage that had been building erupted. I punched the wall beside me, plaster crumbling under my fist. "Get out, both of you. Now." Sophia tried to approach me. "Calvin, let's talk about this." "We can. There is nothing to talk about," I roared, my composure finally shattering. 14 months. Behind my back, my brother and my wife. What is there possibly left to say? Marcus attempted to place his hand on my shoulder. I shoved him back so hard he stumbled against the dresser. "Do not touch me. Do not ever touch me again. Get your things and get out of my house." They dressed in humiliated silence while I stood there trembling with rage and grief. I watched as the two people I had trusted most in the world gathered their belongings, avoiding my eyes. Once they left, I collapsed onto the floor, my mind reeling with questions and accusations. I could not stay in that house, surrounded by memories now tainted beyond repair. I packed a hasty overnight bag and checked into a downtown hotel. Throughout that evening, my phone buzzed incessantly with calls and messages from both betrayers. Sophia claimed they had not planned to fall in love. Marcus insisted he had never meant to hurt me. Their excuses blurred together in a nauseating stream of self-justification. My parents called around 8 that evening. Sophia had apparently informed them of the situation. Their first words were not of support for me, but caution. "Calvin, do not do anything rash," my father advised. "Everyone makes mistakes. Let's all sit down and talk this through." Even in that moment, the emphasis was on preserving family harmony rather than acknowledging the depth of my pain. I ended the call abruptly, unable to believe their reaction. The divorce proceedings were a special kind of torture. I learned the affair had begun at a gallery event Sophia had invited Marcus to when I was working late. What started as innocent flirtation evolved into secret meetings, elaborate lies, and betrayal, so complete it left me questioning every memory of the past 14 months. Had they been laughing at me behind my back? How many family gatherings had they attended together, exchanging secret glances while sitting across from me at the dinner table? The questions haunted me day and night. I moved to an apartment across town, unable to continue living in the home we had shared. I sold or donated most of our furnishings, keeping only what I had owned before the marriage. The Craftsman house sold quickly in Portland's hot market, and I split the proceeds with Sophia as required by law, though every dollar felt like another betrayal. Mutual friends gradually revealed they had harbored suspicions. Travis, my college roommate, admitted seeing them together at a restaurant in a part of town neither frequented normally. Andrea, Sophia's colleague, had noticed Marcus dropping her off at work multiple times. No one had said anything to me. Their silence felt like secondary betrayal. I threw myself into work, the only area of my life that still made sense. My focus and drive intensified, leading to another promotion and significant raise. Professionally, I was thriving. Personally, I was a hollow shell going through the motions of living. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, my parents intensified their campaign for reconciliation. What began as subtle suggestions evolved into persistent pressure. My father called weekly with updates about Marcus, as if keeping me informed of his life would somehow rekindle my desire for brotherhood. "He asks about you," Dad would say. "He knows he made a terrible mistake." My mother's approach was more emotional. "Calvin, sweetheart, you cannot throw away 30 years of brotherhood over one mistake." One mistake. That phrase enraged me. A mistake is forgetting to pick someone up from the airport or accidentally revealing a surprise party. Carrying on a 14-month affair with your brother's wife is a deliberate series of choices made day after day. Family dinners became battlegrounds of uncomfortable silences and pointed comments. "Holding on to anger only hurts you," Mom would say, passing mashed potatoes. "Forgiveness is what strong men do," Dad would add, as if my boundary was a sign of weakness. 5 months after the discovery, I learned from my cousin Allie that Marcus and Sophia had moved in together. They had rented an apartment in the Pearl District, an upscale neighborhood neither could afford on their own. The news hit me like a physical blow, the betrayal continuing so publicly, so shamelessly. When confronted with this information, my father gave a speech about the nature of love and forgiveness that seemed pulled from his Sunday school lessons. "People do not choose who they love, Calvin, but you can choose to rise above this and show true character." My mother was more direct in her manipulation. "Your father and I won't be around forever," she said during one particularly tense dinner. "Do you want to look back and realize you wasted years being bitter when you could have had your brother in your life?" I began seeing a therapist, Dr. Levine, who provided a lifeline of sanity during this period. "Your feelings are entirely valid," she assured me. "Families often prioritize the appearance of harmony over the reality of healthy boundaries. You have every right to protect yourself from people who have deeply hurt you, regardless of blood ties." With her help, I began rebuilding. I joined a recreational basketball league, made new friends at work, and even started a weekend hiking group. Slowly, I created a life that was mine alone, untouched by the shadow of betrayal. Then came the Christmas incident. I had agreed to attend the family gathering with clear conditions: Marcus and Sophia would not be present. My parents promised to respect this boundary. Yet when I arrived at their home, Marcus's car was in the driveway. Inside, he and Sophia were helping set the table as if nothing had happened. The ambush was deliberate, a forced reconciliation attempt orchestrated by my parents. "We are all family," my mother said, tears in her eyes. "It is Christmas. Surely we can put aside our differences for one day." I did not make a scene. I simply turned around, walked back to my car, and drove away. My phone exploded with messages. My father called me childish. My mother said I had ruined Christmas. Aunts, uncles, and cousins weighed in, some supporting my decision to leave, others condemning my inability to forgive. The incident created a family rift. My younger cousins, particularly Allie and her brother Devon, stood firmly on my side. The older generation mostly aligned with my parents' perspective that family harmony should supersede all else. I established firmer boundaries, meeting my parents only in neutral locations like restaurants where I could leave if they violated my trust again. Support groups for betrayed spouses became another source of healing. Listening to others who had experienced similar pain validated my feelings and provided practical strategies for moving forward. Through their stories, I recognized that forgiveness, if it ever came, would be a personal journey, not a public performance to appease my family. Spring brought unexpected professional success. After leading a major project that secured a $20 million client, I received both a promotion to development director and a substantial performance bonus. The financial windfall represented security and new possibilities. My parents, who had maintained strained but civil contact with me, suddenly became very interested in my career trajectory. My mother called more frequently, asking detailed questions about my work that she had never before shown interest in. My father suggested lunch meetings where he inquired about my investments and financial planning. 6 weeks after my promotion announcement, They proposed a family dinner at Riverside, an upscale restaurant overlooking the Willamette River. Just the four of us, my mother promised. To celebrate your success and hopefully begin healing old wounds. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The evening began pleasantly enough with congratulations on my career advancement and seemingly genuine interest in my life. For a brief moment, I allowed myself to hope that perhaps they had finally accepted my boundaries. That hope evaporated with the arrival of dessert. My father cleared his throat, adopting the principal's tone I remembered from childhood discussions about grades or behavior. Your mother and I have been thinking about your bonus and your brother's situation. I set down my fork, already sensing where this was heading. Marcus and Sophia are trying to buy a house, my mother continued. The market is so competitive now, and they are struggling to save for a down payment. The audacity stunned me into silence. They had orchestrated this entire evening as a setup. We thought, my father added, given your financial blessing, you might consider helping them out, as a way to move forward, to be the bigger person. Let me understand, I said slowly. You want me to give money to my brother and my ex-wife, the two people who betrayed me in the most painful way possible, to help them buy a house together. When you put it that way, it sounds terrible, my mother sighed. But Calvin, it has been nearly a year. Marcus is still your brother. Family helps family. He needs this fresh start, my father added. You are in a position to help him begin his new family. The phrase new family hit like a slap. The future that should have been mine, building a home, perhaps having children with the woman I loved, had been stolen by my own brother. And now my parents expected me to finance it. You have been blessed financially. My mother pressed when I remained silent. Is it not right to share those blessings? My father leaned forward. Family helps family, Calvin. Regardless of the past. The past, I finally found my voice. You mean the ongoing present where my brother is living with my ex-wife after they carried on behind my back for over a year. That past? It has been almost a year, my mother countered. Time to move on. A strange calm settled over me. For months I had been wrestling with guilt over my inability to forgive, wondering if there was something wrong with me for not being able to embrace their version of family harmony. In that moment, I saw with perfect clarity the dysfunction I had been raised in. No, I said simply. I will not be giving Marcus and Sophia money for a house. Not now. Not ever. My father's face darkened. After everything we have done for you, the support through your divorce, the patience with your grudge holding, this is how you repay family loyalty. I placed my napkin on the table and stood. Thank you for dinner. I think we are finished here. Calvin James Porter. My mother rarely used my full name. Do not walk away from this table. We are not finished discussing this. Yes, we are. I placed enough cash on the table to cover my portion of the meal. I wish you both well, but I will not set myself on fire to keep Marcus warm. Not anymore. I walked out of the restaurant with a sense of liberation I had not felt since before discovering the affair. Behind me, I could hear my mother's protests and my father's angry muttering. Their disappointment no longer held power over me. The next few days brought a barrage of messages. Cousins reported my parents were telling family members I had abandoned them in their time of need. Marcus sent a self-pitying text about how I was punishing him by withholding financial help that would allow us all to move forward. Several aunts and uncles called to suggest I reconsider, reminding me of family obligation. The evening after the restaurant confrontation, I sat in my apartment with a clarity I had not experienced in months. After a session with Dr. Levine, I drafted a comprehensive email to my entire family, explaining my position and boundaries going forward. I did not justify or defend. I simply stated that my financial resources were mine to direct. My forgiveness was mine to give, when and if I felt ready, and any further pressure would result in distance. A family that demands forgiveness as a transaction has misunderstood what love truly means, I wrote. I need time and space to heal. I ask that you respect that. I consulted with Dr. Levine before sending it, and she affirmed the healthy boundaries I was establishing. This is not about punishing them, she said. It is about protecting yourself from further harm while you heal. I blocked Marcus and Sophia on all platforms and temporarily limited contact with my parents. The space allowed me to focus on my own path forward without the constant drain of their expectations. Instead of funding my brother's new life with my ex-wife, I invested my bonus in a small mountain cabin near Mount Hood. The property became my weekend sanctuary, a place to hike, read, and gradually reconnect with myself. The peace I found there was worth far more than any family approval. My old college friend Jackson reached out after hearing about the situation through mutual acquaintances. Unlike those who had suspected the affair but remained silent, Jackson had been living in Chicago during that time. His perspective was untainted by involvement in the drama. Our friendship rekindled, providing support that expected nothing in return. Family is not just blood, Jackson told me during a weekend at the cabin. It is the people who respect your boundaries and support your well-being. This concept of chosen family became my new foundation. I built connections with colleagues like Amir and Denise, who invited me to holiday gatherings free from manipulation. I strengthened bonds with cousins Allie and Devin who had stood by me. I joined a community volunteer group that built houses for veterans, finding purpose in helping others rebuild their lives as I was rebuilding mine. 3 months after the restaurant incident, I received a handwritten letter from my mother. Unlike her previous communications, this one acknowledged my pain without qualifying it. "I have been reflecting on how we have handled this situation," she wrote. "I realize now we have been so focused on restoring harmony that we never truly honored your grief. I am sorry, son." The acknowledgement, though long overdue, opened a door to a different kind of relationship with my parents. We began meeting for occasional coffee with the understanding that Marcus and Sophia were not to be discussed unless I initiated the topic. These meetings were tentative at first, but gradually evolved into more authentic connections as they learned to respect my boundaries. A year after the confrontation at the restaurant, my company opened a new office in Seattle. I applied for a transfer, seeing the opportunity for a geographic fresh start. The move created healthy distance from Portland's painful associations while still allowing occasional visits with the family members who had respected my journey. In Seattle, I met Jessica through a hiking meetup. Our connection developed slowly, built on a foundation of honesty. On our third date, I shared my experience of betrayal, not as an open wound, but as an important part of my story. Her response, genuine empathy without pressure to get over it, confirmed I had found someone who understood healthy relationship boundaries. My approach to relationships transformed through this journey. I learned to recognize the difference between genuine support and manipulation disguised as care. I developed a new respect for honesty, boundaries, and self-advocacy. Most importantly, I discovered that standing firm in my own truth was not selfish, but necessary for authentic connections. 2 years have passed since I walked in on Marcus and Sophia. Looking back from my new life in Seattle, I can measure the distance I have traveled emotionally as well as geographically. My career continues to flourish. My relationship with Jessica has deepened into something I trust, and most importantly, I have found peace with my decisions. 8 months after I moved to Seattle, I heard through Allie that Marcus and Sophia's relationship had imploded. In what felt like karmic justice, Marcus discovered Sophia having an affair with her gallery coworker. Their house dreams collapsed along with their relationship, and Marcus moved back in with our parents temporarily. I felt no joy at this news, only a quiet confirmation that relationships built on betrayal rarely survive their own foundations. The knowledge changed nothing about my boundaries or decisions. Last Christmas, my parents visited me in Seattle. Over dinner at my apartment, my father finally offered the apology I had needed. "We failed you," he said, his voice uncharacteristically humble. "We pressured you to forgive, before acknowledging how deeply you were hurt. Then we tried to obligate you financially to people who had betrayed your trust. I am sorry, son." My mother added, "We were so fixated on maintaining the appearance of family harmony that we missed what family should actually mean, supporting each other through pain, not dismissing it." Their apology was meaningful, but it did not erase the past. I responded with compassion, but continued firmness. I appreciate hearing that. I hope we can build a different relationship going forward, one based on mutual respect rather than obligation. We have slowly rebuilt a connection, though it bears little resemblance to our previous dynamic. I maintain my boundaries about Marcus, though I no longer harbor the active anger that once consumed me. I have come to understand that forgiveness is primarily for my own peace, not for their comfort. The most valuable lesson from this journey is recognizing the difference between toxic family dynamics and genuine love. True family, blood, or chosen, respects boundaries, acknowledges harm, and supports healing without conditions. The pressure to forgive for the sake of appearances serves no one but those wishing to avoid accountability. I am stronger now with clearer judgment of character and healthier boundaries. The pain forced me to examine what I truly value in relationships and to become more authentic in my connections. I no longer accept the premise that family ties automatically override personal well-being. My healing was not instantaneous but incremental. Each small decision to honor my own feelings, rather than suppress them for others' comfort, built a foundation for recovery. Each boundary enforced, each authentic connection made each moment of standing in my truth added to my resilience. My definition of family has been rewritten. It now encompasses those who demonstrate love through respect, honesty, and supportive growth, regardless of blood relation. Sometimes the family we choose proves more nurturing than the one we were born into. As I reflect on this journey, I wonder how many of you have faced similar crossroads between family expectations and self-respect. Where would you draw that line? Would you give money to those who betrayed you because family requested it? Have you had to establish difficult boundaries with loved ones? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the most important forgiveness is the kind we offer ourselves.